Good morning and happy Easter. I hope you're having a wonderful Monday morning. And wherever you're watching this from, the weather is beautiful. We're sitting in Mildred's dining room right now, and the sun is coming in, the morning sun, which is really nice. So if you're watching this replay or you're here live, I'm Dr. Glenna, and I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I'm the mother of 3 small kiddos, and I'm the creator of Optimal Health. So today, I'm going to introduce you to my colleagues and friends, and we're going to speak about resilience. So first of all, this is Mildred Lynn, a very good friend of mine and colleague. We've done lots of work together from internet radio shows, etc. And this is Shelley Monahan, who is also a friend, and we've done a few different episodes on radio shows together too. So Mildred Lynn is a life coach. She's certified in integrative coaching. She took a course in San Diego a few years ago on that, and she draws from her experience in the healthcare industry and the high-tech industry. And she specializes in resilience and helping people work through different areas of their life or after a curveball has been thrown their way. She has experience in this in her own life and also in her work. Shelley is a project manager, and she specializes in very complex projects A to B. So Shelley was born and raised in Newfoundland and lives in Ottawa. And Mildred was born in Cape Breton, born and raised, and is in a little bit of transition. She recently has lived the last few years in California and will be planting herself somewheres.
Yes.
We'll keep you up to date.
In the galaxy.
In the galaxy. When she knows, you'll know. So thanks again for joining me. And feel free to ask any questions in the comments. We see the comments pop up. So if you have a little question here and there, feel free, and we'll answer those. So thank you, everybody who's joining us now. So we're in different areas of our life, we need resilience, whether it comes to our health, our career, relationships. Whenever we get maybe something that comes unexpectedly in our life, we can be thrown a curveball, and it's just that feeling of being jarred, stopped in our tracks. We have to bounce back if we're going to move forward and show up again in our life. So it's really important, like I said, in relationships, jobs, health. How it relates to health, for example, is say if you're trying to get on track with something, and in any area of health, when we're trying to strive for whether it's weight loss, eating better, getting our sleep on track, we're going to get off track because we're human. So how do we bounce back quicker and easier in that area? So, and we're going to talk about different areas in life that resilience can really help make life easier. So I'm going to first start off by asking Mildred, what is the importance of resilience?
We're human. Humans adapt. That's how we're built. So when you take that a little bit further and extrapolate it out, you start to think about, well, how do I bounce back from things? Life happens. Everybody has their turn. I have my turn. Glenna has her turn. Shelley has her turn. You'll have your turn. So when I look at resilience, it basically is the capacity to bounce back with the least amount of stress in the shortest time. And my personal swing on it would be with the least amount of life force energy expended. So first of all, when you look at resilience, it is part of, as Shelley said earlier when we had a conversation, it's part of the human existence, human condition. So the reason that it's important, it's like breathing, it's like talking, it's like eating. You're a human being, you're on the earth plane, we've signed up for experiences. Some of them are going to be effortless and some of them are really going to challenge you. So the importance of resilience and understanding resilience is when you're going through the challenging parts, how do you go through that with grace and with ease? So that's my take on resilience.
Perfect. And I loved, and we had a little discussion on this, talking about how we can make things easier. We all want life to be just that little bit easier because we're going to keep getting curveballs sent our way. And as Mildred Lynn said, it's part of life. So how can we do that without feeling too beaten up, too broken? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So Mildred, in your own life, in say the past year or 2 years, whatever you'd like to look at, what have you learned about the importance of having resilience in your life?
Well, it's a very humbling experience when you're going through a challenging situation, and often you feel isolated, or you make it mean somehow I'm inadequate or I'm not enough. Sometimes you feel like I've set myself up for this. Sometimes people feel, and I'm sure everybody can relate to that, including ourselves, sometimes we feel like this has happened again. This has happened again and again and again. Why do I keep repeating this story or this pattern? I'm tired of it. So if you're in that zone and you're ready to make a change, you want to develop skill sets to help you bounce back from wherever you are. And one of the most crippling aspects of making life personal is your self-talk. If people have negative self-talk, and you are never going to bounce back if you keep hitting yourself with a board over the head. You're not. You're going to do something, probably develop unhealthy coping mechanisms to make yourself feel better and more comfortable. But that wonderful feeling of bouncing back, of being capable and having the capacity to handle life as it unfolds to you, that's where the meat and potatoes are. Or that would be, let's think about a vegetarian alternative.
That's where the tofu and the rice is at.
That's where it is. Yes, exactly. So when you're looking at resilience, what I found, you asked in my life, what I found is the first thing I had to realize is that it's just not me this is happening to. And oddly enough, if you listen to what people are saying around you, sometimes great words of wisdom are developed or are given to you from the universe through another person. And my parents are elderly, and we had certain health challenges and geographic challenges and life challenges all around this. And my sister turned to me one day, and my sister's in Newfoundland, and she said, Mildred Lynn, we're just going through this like any other family goes through this. And those words came from her mouth and her wisdom, but I knew there was a bigger picture on the go, and it gave me a place to push what I was going through. The stress, the consumption of time, the expenditure of the life force energy. Right. So that's, yeah.
So what building blocks do you think, could you give us examples of building blocks that you think are examples of what could be helpful in laying the foundation of building resilience, maybe in an area where we think, and we all have different areas where we think we need to get a little bit tougher, we need to be able to bounce back quicker in that area, so that we feel less bruised and broken if we're going to go through that again, because you don't know what's coming around the corner in life, right? So could you give us a couple examples that would help?
I find in life a lot of it is figuring out where to put things. So if you look at resilience in terms of being an athlete, and you have your muscle, and you exercise your muscle, when you need that muscle to climb that mountain or go in that triathlon, that muscle is ready. Transfer that thought to the concept of resilience. So you're going through life, you're not developing your resilience skills, so when a challenge hits you, you kind of go flash. Like, what well are you drawing from? Your resilience muscles have atrophied. They're slack. So one, I had mentioned earlier about looking at your self-dialogue. The other part is you have to really be honest about the situation that you're facing. Yes, I was fired from my job. That is a reality. Yes, my husband left me. Yes, I just received a diagnosis that I don't want. So the first part, from my experience and from observing others, is to really look yourself in the mirror. And if you have to literally look yourself in the mirror, look yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, this is happening. Don't go into denial. Don't slink away from it. Take a deep breath. Look at yourself and say, this is really happening. So that would be one suggestion that I would have. Once you look at this is really happening, observe what you choose to make that mean. Are you making it very personal, like I'm not enough, I'm inadequate, I'm blaming people or whatever? Or are you saying, this happened to me, I may or may not have been practicing my skill sets for resilience, but I know that's what I need to do. I need to either talk to someone, talk to a family member who's gone through something, talk to a person who has inspired me, Google how to build resilience skill sets. There's lots of articles on it. In fact, talk to a professional. If you go into LinkedIn and you type in resilience teachings or whatever, if you're part of LinkedIn, if you're buying your LinkedIn package, 45,000 people have taken a little wee course on resilience training through LinkedIn. Now that tells you something.
Right.
45,000 people. And when you're thinking about resilience, it doesn't have to be for the large life curveballs. It could be you had a performance review that devastated you. How do you recover from that with the least amount of energy, the least amount of stress, and as quickly as possible?
Right, because we were speaking about that, Mildred Lynn and Shelley and I yesterday. You can get a performance review back, and you talked about something in the past, not getting a job, maybe 10, 15 years ago, and you could choose to make it mean, I didn't show up, I wasn't as good, I didn't have the skill set, I interviewed poorly, or I really didn't want this job, so I didn't put as much effort as I could have into it.
Yeah.
I'm going to move on. End of story, period, bye. Or for 6 months going, I didn't get that job, I just wasn't, there's something about me, etc., etc. There's two different ways you could have handled that. And you just decided in a 5-minute conversation with yourself, well, obviously I didn't want it, I didn't put any effort into it. Okay, what's next?
There are other things available to you.
That's
all
right.
The time.
Mm-hmm. So Shelley, can you give us an example in your area, in your life, that you feel that you have good resilience?
Well, Mildred, stated the fact that everybody has their turn. There's always a turn. Some life happens to you, and how you react to it. Everybody has a different package to react to that. So I think my turn was probably in the late 1990s when I started a job within the civil service. I had been a government employee for 8 years. I got a promotion to another job. And I think I quickly realized that it was not the job for me, right? It was, it was a great promotion, wonderful. But when I started the job, the folks around me, there was not a lot of support. And Glenna, you kind of indicated that success, you may think that you're not successful because there's something wrong with the way you apply your skill set, or there's something lacking in you. But really, it could be the situation and the job that you're in that makes you realize this is not for me.
That's right.
So in addition to realizing that particular job wasn't for me, I realized that the civil service in general was not for me. And by talking to trusted relatives. So the first thing that I do usually when there's a big change happening in my life is I talk to trusted people around me. It could be a relative, good friend, just to talk things out.
Okay.
Because you are going through a major life change. And you may have never have had to deal with that before, and you need some sounding boards. You need to find the people that you trust in your life that are going to listen, not judge you, and so that you can, you can try to move forward. Yeah. So that, like going into that job innocently, thinking that I'm going to be the most successful, coordinator that this organization had ever seen, right? It actually propelled me to a different province, right? To a different career. So basically, I was lucky at the time I could go back to school, right? So I started a completely different career path, packed all my personal belongings after 2 years, and took off to a different province.
Wow.
Right? And, basically interviewed, got another job, found another network of friends. So that was the first real change in my life. But from that, every 3 years, I seem to kind of pick up my bag of tricks and my bag of belongings, and I plant myself somewhere else.
And does it get easier each time?
It does, because I've developed a kind of a formula for change, right? So basically, from my, I guess, travel, live to travel, right? Or travel to live initially. So I had to travel to different places to get another job, to sustain myself, right? So I've done that 2 or 3 times. So again, you talk to some people before you make your move. Are you making a sensible life decision, right? So you look within, right? Have I stayed in this position long enough? Have I stayed where I am long enough? Yes, right? You start talking to other people and sharing that. It could be the people at work that you have to let know, you're thinking about making another decision. You talk to family and friends.
So this is almost your step 1 that Mildred was talking about, is acknowledging.
Yes.
And we can do it different ways. Some people, they journal. They might walk meditate, whatever it is, you go reach out to trusted friends who you trust their advice and their wisdom.
Exactly.
And like you alluded to, I think we discussed about this last night, you feel you might know the answers, they're in there. But just having that confirmation really helps you move forward.
Exactly. And talk to the people who know you as well. And they're going to say, like, Shelley, you've done this 3 times before. Why do you do this?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would be your step 2? Say if we use the example of traveling, because you travel very, very well. You've lived in different countries, etc.
Right.
Well, after you get that and you talk to your trusted friends and relatives, where do you go next?
So once you've made your decision,
Okay.
you're going to make this move. I usually reach out to the people on the other end where I'm going to ensure this is a support network for me.
Okay.
Whether it's a friend that I can stay with for the first month or a couple of weeks. So therefore, your physical needs are out of the way.
Okay.
You have your place to stay. Like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You need a physical place to stay, a roof over your head. That's your basic need.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, I wonder for the people listening, are they going, oh, yeah. I think that probably 75% of the people listening right now are going, you'd move somewheres and just know where you're staying for 4 to 6 weeks. Like, I'm going, that takes huge courage. So,
it comes after moving 3 or 4 times, right?
So you've exercised that muscle.
Yeah.
And it's getting stronger and stronger.
Exactly. And I've never, I have moved and there hasn't been a job at the other end and a house at the other end and a set of friends at the other end. You trust that will come based on your previous experiences of being able to do that.
Okay.
Right? And it may not be big moves. It could be, developing new friendships at a workplace in your own city or going out to a community event and, meeting your community, right? So those things build on the bigger life events.
So in terms of, and you've had a few different areas that I think you show great resilience, Shelley, which is why I think you're such a great project manager, basically, as you coach groups of people through difficult times. What, say in weight loss, for example, we take you to weight loss, you've recently decided the last year, you're going to focus on weight loss and your health, and you've lost 20 pounds this year, which is huge, right? That means you determined, you followed a plan, you had a mindset shift in that area. So where are you at in your formula? Where are you at with your weight loss journey? What step are you at?
Right. So last year, it was probably early in the year, I had been gaining a lot of weight accumulatively.
Okay.
Right.
Which
so
happens
each year,
to all of
10
us,
years, 10 pounds, 10 pounds, 10 pounds. Exactly. And without keeping track of anything.
Right. Like what everybody's been doing this weekend, probably. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So at a certain point last year, it was probably the springtime when people want to change and there's a natural, attraction to getting out there and walking and looking nice for the summer, etc. I decided, okay, this is it. I need some help.
Okay.
So that I can intervene on my behalf.
Right.
So I joined Weight Watchers as an example. And what that gave me was a routine and a regimen and the support, the weekly support for meetings and the people around you to propel me forward. And I guess as a project manager, I'm process oriented. I'm an analytical thinker. So I liked the tools to track your weight and this is what you're allowed and all the recipes that are available to you, the weighing in, the goals, right? The milestones. This is your project plan.
Check.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I was super from March up until October, went to regular meetings, tracked my weight, and everything was coming off. Wow, this is working, right?
Good.
Now, around the fall, that's people's time to kind of go inwards, to hibernate a little bit. The weather's not as nice, especially in Canada. We get 5 months of winter, let's face it.
Vitamin D starting to drop.
Exactly. So I was going to less and less meetings.
Okay.
Right? The online tool was becoming less and less frequent.
You're on the slippery slope.
Yes, yeah.
And it's funny how resilient the body is. Because even after 1 or 2 months of not paying attention, I wasn't gaining any weight. So I kept going on the scales every now and then, keeping myself in check. But then come February and March, where there's still like -30 in Ottawa, and it's still cold out there, you know, I felt, okay, wait a minute, I'm creeping up bit by bit by bit. So now, speaking, you know, over the past day or so, I'm ready to get my bag of tricks, you know, front row and center again, my resilience with respect to my physical self and my weight, and this is time to to start again.
And we talked about mindset, and we talked about that in optimal health, right? The mindset, it's almost like you mentioned, there has to be a shift. I think in any kind of goal or area of our life we're going to work at and build and improve, there's going to be a mindset shift. So we're going to go, whatever it is, we want this. And what I work on in optimal health is having that mind shift so that it's not a quick fix. We're not doing this just to lose 10 pounds. We're doing this to have a healthy lifestyle. So if we go off track, it's okay. What do we choose that to mean? Is it that I have no control of my health, that I give into cravings, I'm just, etc. Or I enjoyed Easter weekend, I had some foods that weren't clean, right? I enjoyed it, and the part is not to have the guilt, right? Just, who cares? Yeah. Go back on your track on Tuesday, whatever it's what you choose it to mean. If you choose it to take it personal and beat up on yourself, or go, everybody else is probably having turkey dinner with dressing and a piece of pie or a piece of cake, and that's okay.
And we all had last night, by the way, right?
Yeah, and we'll do it again at the next time.
Yeah.
But in between, the majority of your time, what are you doing, right? And that can be applied to your health, nutrition, or your work, or relationships, or whatever it is. So what are you doing the majority of your time in your life? We're not meant to be perfect. It's all progress, right? And it's about, we're human. We're all human. And resilience, we're talking about that today, is how do we get back on track in whatever area of our life? If we have a loss of somebody we loved, if we've had a separation, if we got fired from a job, what do we choose to mean? And how do we get back on track a little bit quicker and easier and drain energy less?
I really like what Shelley you had to say, and I wrote this down. Like you said, I'm a project manager, so you looked at those skill sets. You took from that well and applied it to your goal, so to speak, and a little bit tongue-in-cheek, like you're not taking yourself too seriously. Okay, I tried it for this one, kind of went off the wagon a bit, but you know deep down in yourself, well, I have these skill sets I need to bounce back toward the goal that I have outlined for myself. But it's not heavy and serious.
Right.
No, it can never be. You know, I mean, you need to give yourself the leeway of being human. It's human to enjoy chocolate or something sweet or like a second serving of something. But you don't necessarily have to do it all the time.
That's right.
Right? And Glenna, to your point, maybe, you know, if I looked at it a bit more closely, maybe that 3 months of being off track, if next time I can get it down to 2 months or a month. Right? That would make things easier to bounce back.
That's right.
Right? And maybe, you know, not experience that weight gain. You're back on track again, and then, you know, you're either sustaining or losing, continuing to lose. Yeah. Yeah,
I see a direct proportion or correlation with people that are able to jump back. Say, if we're talking about my situation with health, because I'm a naturopathic doctor, I see how quick people can jump back when they're working on something. It's the less guilt and less negative self-talk they have, the quicker they can, the more resilient they are. So on that thought, Mildred, could you share with us maybe 3 steps that you could suggest for our listeners in whatever area of their life they choose, that they feel like they need a little bit more resilience because they feel maybe bruised in a certain area because it's been a rough go in that area? How could they, maybe 3 steps that they could start to look at to build a little bit more resilience and maybe start to heal?
Yeah, that's really important. And I want to just touch on one area that I didn't touch on earlier. It's the inner life, your inner life. I know myself, like for example, curveball comes my way. Many have over the last couple of years, and this is why I'm so interested in building skills in this area, as is human nature. I feel like I was put here to experience these things, but it's really up to me if I go through this with grace and ease, or if I bang and bruise myself up and I have to have a big healing. So that's the thing. But one step that I would recommend for people at the very beginning is to understand where you get your inner strength. Do you have inner strength? Are you a person that's spiritual? Are you a person that gains nourishment from nature? Are you a person who gains nourishment, as Shelley, from trusted friends and family members? That is so important, because unless you have a solid core or inner strength, or are actively building skills to access your inner strength, then your external voices will override the internal part, and you'll become very confused. You'll become very discouraged, and you'll be in an energy mode that's comparing yourself to other people and other messages. And that is painful, painful, painful. You will have to dig yourself out from that forever. You will drown in that water. so that would be what we could call a core competency, to understand where you are honestly and truthfully with your inner self. And you may listen, you may be here looking at us and say, that's great, but that's going to take me 300 years to do. Not necessarily. You can Google, use Mr. Google, Miss Google, Dr. Google, Buddha Google, and just type in your question. You know, how do I develop inner strength, or how do I connect with myself? And you have taken one step. And that leads nicely into the second part of guidance that I would offer, is understand small steps. Do not be looking for the magic pill. Go back to the analogy about an athlete. An athlete is not going to be performing spectacularly without putting lots of time and effort in and developing their talent and skill. If you don't use your resilience muscle, of course, it's going to atrophy. Think about if you have a favorite recipe and you haven't made it in 10 years. Well, the first time you go back into that kitchen and make that recipe, healthy or unhealthy, it'll be awkward, right?
Definitely.
And then the third thing is understand, as human beings, how attracted we are to that comfort zone. Really, really would rather just use what I have and be with my pillows.
And why are we so attracted to that comfort zone?
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's
human nature.
It's just human nature.
I think it's human nature
Yeah,
to stay maybe in the same job, or like understand what your expectations are. Not really going beyond that. Until the universe pushes you.
Yeah.
Sometimes into another realm, and then
or hits you over the head.
Hits you over the head.
Yeah. That's what usually happens to me. I get hit over the head with the board. Okay. And I read something this morning that in life's schoolhouse, that life gives you the test, then you have the opportunity to learn the lesson. And I thought, oh yeah, that's it. That's definitely.
But it's nice to know that, because then we all get it that way.
Yes.
It's not just some of us.
Yeah.
We all get the test.
Yeah.
Then we have an opportunity to learn.
Yeah. And if you don't learn, then the universe is really helpful in providing another school
opportunity.
Yes. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you start to connect the dots, and you start to learn to pay attention more. And I'll go back to the being honest. Be honest with yourself and say, I had this loss, or I received this information I didn't want to hear. In order to build a skill set to be resilient, I will have to step out of my comfort zone, but I will do that in awareness and with presence, building on my strengths and surrounding myself with support while contacting my inner self. We talked about this last night, as both Shelley and Glenna alluded to, over lots of laughter, because we were all laughing at ourselves. But I share, they asked me, well, where do you get your resilience? Where do you get your inner strength? And I said, well, it's quite simple. About 13 years ago, I made a promise to myself that my higher self will never let me down. And that's where I go. And that's my muscle that I develop. That's my muscle that I go to at first awareness that there's going to be some challenge or a curveball or something like that. Another person would have something else. Right. Know what it is.
And you could have one major push, like so in the late 1990s was my major push. But every time after that, the universe has been pretty gentle to me. I've been really lucky. But I do get nudges, right? You know, so every 3 years, they could could be like in the form of a person or in the form of some divine intervention or an opportunity that comes my way, and being aware of those opportunities. So usually every 3 years is my pattern, right? That, okay, I need to get out, brush off my formula. Right. And it could be travel to another city for work, travel for pleasure, and staying in that city. That could be a foreign city for a year, right? But then you know, based on what you've already done, that you can make connections with friends. You can get a roof over your head. You can, you know, build your social network when you're there, even though there might be a different language, right? You can go back to school and study a language, right? So those are my tricks that, okay, I almost need to prepare every 3 years that I'm going to make a big move.
Right. So what I'm hearing from both of you are kind of the three things that are might be in part of a formula. Would be one, face. After the situation's happened, or the shock, or whatever life is thrown your way, face, acknowledge that it's happened. The second one, check your inner dialogue, right? That's the mindset piece. So if there's a lot of negative self-talk or why me, check that and do a little house cleaning in that area and see what you can replace that with instead of why me, oh dear, I'm not going to get through this. Replace that into some positive things, and if you need help, talk to people you trust. Talk to a professional, talk to trusted friends, relatives that you know they have your best interest at heart and they know you. And then the other one would be choose what you want. Choose what you're going to make this mean, right? You said, oh, the universe is kind of kind to me. What immediately I thought of was, that's what you're choosing it to mean. You could look at all the struggles in your life and say, I got hit with this, this, and this, and this, and be stuck there. But you go, the universe has been good to me. You've had struggles and challenges in your life, right? But you're not choosing them to be the highlight.
No, you look at the best pieces of it.
What did you grow? What did you gain? What opportunities you got from those? And you propel yourself forward. You're a resilient person in many areas that we've spoken about today. Are there any last thoughts that you ladies would like to leave our listeners with in the area of resilience?
Well, my offering would be, you can do it. You can do it. If you do feel that you don't have what it takes at the moment, building resilience is available to everybody. It's a skill set.
Perfect.
So that would be my guidance.
And I think for me, it's look at the areas in the past where you've overcome a challenge. It could be a small one. It could be a large one. Look at the small ones. Everyone's been through little challenges, you know, and figure out how you've overcome it and what you drew from, and then bring that forward to each, you know, each thing that, I mean, life is going to come your way, right?
And skills are transferable.
Exactly.
Perfect. Well, thank everybody for listening and showing up on this video. And I'd like to thank Shelley and Mildred Lynn for sharing their life experiences and their skills in the areas of resilience.
Welcome. Thank you, Glenna.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a lot of fun.
It has been.
Yeah.
So take care and have a wonderful Monday.
Bye for now.
Bye.